This is the first time you're using it.
Yes, please. Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. Here with me in the studio to dive into this report is Chukwusi Ikechukwu, Public Affairs Analyst. We're so glad to have you join us. Good afternoon. Let's go right into the reports. Tragedy struck in Ogun State after a Dangote cement truck lost control and rammed into a commercial tricycle, killing all 5 occupants on the spot. The accident happened along the Alupoka axis of the Palanto Ilaro Road around 8:25 p.m. on Friday night. Authorities say the truck reportedly suffered a brake failure before crushing the tricycle beneath its tires. Eyewitnesses described the impact as devastating, leaving no chance of survival for those inside the smaller vehicle. Rescue teams led by acting head Adedayo Omona Yajo and the Ilaro Divisional Commander Isalako Ido responded swiftly to the scene. However, tensions flared as angry residents attempted to attack the responders, blaming authorities for poor road safety and repeated crashes along the route. Security operatives, including the Amoteku car, were deployed to restore calm and prevent further violence. The victims' remains were taken to a nearby morgue by FRSC officials. We have Dangote in the news again. What are your thoughts on this report?
For the opting time, we have another victims of Dangote truck. And what goes to mind is that each time this happens, what goes through the mind of the managers of the organization? Because one thing seems to be certain, this is not an organization that prioritizes safety. If not, the frequency at which their trucks have been involved in accidents would have been a cause for alarm for them. And I also think it points to a deeper rot in the Nigerian system. There should have been somebody whose watch, we have road safety corps, we have road vehicle worthiness, and all those agencies you see on the roads disturbing hapless citizens. The thing is that those guys, they seem to be more interested in the vehicles that pose the least danger to people, which is private cars. You see an overladen commercial vehicle that if anything goes wrong, the fatality rate or even the injury rate will be higher, the consequences will be higher than a private car with one occupant. Yet these guys focuses on private cars than the commercial vehicles. You see commercial vehicles breaking traffic lights, traffic crews, and these guys turn the other way. So it's point to that. If not with the frequency, recall last time it was in Edo State.
Right.
Yeah. Recently also there is this popular Nigeria actor, is it Fino or something, whose sister brother, yes, had her leg amputated.
Oh, and she's succumbed to that, and she finally lost it. I think they buried her over the weekend.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. Now, with all this series of incidents, what are the ministries in charge of our roads and transportation doing and saying to this organization? If the organization on its own does not prioritize safety, there is a government that has the responsibility to make sure that they do the right thing. It's unfortunate, and this may not be the last we have heard of this type of incident, because like I said, it's obvious they don't prioritize safety. People have complained, and even without people complaining, all you need to do is be on the road. Even as a casual observer, you notice how reckless those drivers can be. Of all the organizational truck you see on the road, they seem to be the more reckless one. Others even have,
Do you think that happens because of the brand behind the truck?
It is the brand, but not because the brand have any mysterious thing, but just for that simple reason, because that brand does not prioritize. So it is about their safety culture. It is not about maybe some, when we say brand, people may want to think that, maybe because the persons behind it are highly placed or something. I don't think it's a matter of being highly placed. It's a matter of not prioritizing safety. They don't prioritize safety. I think that's the major issue they have in that organization, and that reflects in the way you see their truck operate on the roads.
And when you say they don't prioritize safety while training their drivers?
Absolutely.
Or the drivers do not prioritize safety?
No, you see, if an organization prioritizes safety, one of the criteria for recruiting you should be that you also prioritizes safety, because they know that your being safe is in their interest. They don't want, they want you to go home and go safely. They don't want their vehicles, their fleet involved in too much accident. They don't want, a situation where people who do business with them or who come in contact with them for whatever reason, either who come in contact with them accidentally or intentionally, are endangered. They don't want that. But it is because they don't prioritize safety. That culture is passed down to their drivers, and of course, it shows in the kind of persons they recruit. If they prioritize safety, they would have probably given a thorough, maybe defensive driving course, it's called DDC, to their drivers. Then they would have, safety features would have been some of the basic things that they would have pushed down the mind of their drivers, so that those drivers will think, sleep, and talk safety. So when you see them on the road, they will naturally be safety conscious, because they know not being safety have a consequences. For them. They know that the organization does not tolerate unsafe acts. But because maybe nobody talks about safety so much in the organization, so they can be as reckless as they choose to.
Now, other than the organization, prioritizing safety, let's talk a little bit about these drivers. When the situation with the ex-Big Brother housemate Fina's sister happened, young promising girl that just rounded up with school, has died and left her two children, and right now she's been buried. So let's bring it back a little bit towards the drivers. Right. Usually when these things happen, the attack is usually on the organization and never on the individual that actually moved the truck. Do you think if we shift focus and these organizations now decide that, okay, if you commit this sort of crime, we're going to bring you out as an individual as opposed to staying under the umbrella of an organization to fix it as an organization, do you think we'll have some form of a redress?
Well, you see, you cannot divorce the individual from the organization, because it was that organization that gave them the responsibility. They were acting in the name of the organization, much as the individual would be punished and held liable for their actions if a driver has been found to violate traffic rules, because you also as a person, you have a responsibility to obey the rules, whether they are traffic rules or any other rule set by the company. But you see, what we are saying is this: if an organization makes safety their priority, there will be no debate if an accident happened, who would be held responsible. It won't be the blame game. Their priority will be, we don't want it to happen. Not that if it happened, you will be held responsible. So the holding the driver responsibility is should be a secondary to the organization, because their name, whether it is the driver you held responsible or the organization, you can't divorce their name from coming to play. People would always ascribe what happened to the name of that organization. So they have a prayer. And it's just sort of more than a moral responsibility. It's a responsibility that you want everybody to be safe. You see, safety don't just happen. It's a responsibility. If they have that responsibility, if they think that they should be responsible for how safe their organization is run, how safe those who come in contact with them, like I said, whether accidental or intentional. If you see, I have a responsibility to myself and to you, to ensure that at least as much as is within my power, you are safe around me. So I'm going to do everything possible to ensure that you don't get hurt around me. Whether that injury, if it happened, would be blamed on me or not. I just think that everybody around me should be safe. If you came in contact with me safely, you should also leave safely. You shouldn't come with me, as it were, vertical, and you live parallel. It's something I don't want. So it's going to affect how I relate. It's going to affect how I handle my environment. If I know that I don't want anybody coming here, so I will ensure that water don't spill on the floor, knowing that if there is water on the floor, it could become slippery. I should ensure that my environment is properly lit up, because I don't want people bumping in the dark. I should just do everything possible. I won't say, oh, after all, this is my house. I know the places around, so even if it is dark, I can make my way around. Meanwhile, I have a visitor who don't know as much as that. I feel like it is his or her business. That's a poor safety culture. So safety, the thing about safety is that you don't just think about yourself, you think about others. I have a responsibility to ensure you are safe. And if you're also a safety conscious person, you also take it upon yourself to ensure that I am safe around you. So that's why you see people say, watch out. You're pointing out, I mean, you don't wait for the person to slip into the gutter and feel like, I'm not the one that did it to you. You don't just want that to happen.
Thank you so much for your insight on that report. 51-year-old man identified as Moses Abraham has been arrested in Jos, Plateau State for allegedly killing his lover, Cecilia, after catching her with another man. The tragic incident occurred at the Legislative Quarters areas on Friday night. Abraham, a father of 5 and a long-distance tanker driver, reportedly rented the apartment for Cecilia, who was separated from her husband and operated a nearby salon. Witnesses said Abraham left in anger after seeing another man in her apartment, spent hours drinking at a nearby bar, and later returned to confront her. The altercation turned violent, leading him to smash her head against the wall and strike her with a stone. After the killing, Abraham reportedly walked to the Nasarawa Gowon police station to confess. He led officers to the scene where Cecilia's body was recovered and taken to a morgue. Police say the suspect remains in custody as investigations continue. Really, really sad. What anger can do. What are your thoughts on this?
Crime of passion. Crime of passion. What we didn't get to know is that since the man is the father of 5, if he's still married or he's no longer married, I mean, if he was married, in my thinking, anyway, let me not go to that moral standing. But the thing is, this is what anger, like you rightly said, can do, and this is a crime of passion. Unfortunately, it seems premeditated because
he had time.
Yes, he had time to go. He didn't attack them when he saw them. He left, maybe to brood over it, take some drink to energize himself, as it were, for the deed ahead of him. Unfortunately, he will be tried for murder. Unfortunately, his children, those 5 children, may lose their father, and unfortunately, the lady's children also have been rendered motherless. But this says something. In dealing with people, we should be careful who we deal with. If you notice a person, I don't know if he has repeatedly displayed anger problem towards any, but if you're careful to study those you deal with. If you notice that people have anger or people are prone to violence, I think as much as possible you draw a boundary between them, because you never can tell when they escalate. And I mean, I keep saying, and I hope to, nothing justify taking the life of another person, especially when it is not the instrumentality of laws, like maybe a judge sentencing somebody to death, the execution officer carrying out the execution, something like this. Just you are offended. Having walked away, if he had controlled himself, he would have just walked away for good and never come back there. Unfortunately, he took the other route, and it has landed everybody, at least everybody involved, in trouble.
Right. Now, you've talked about how he should have looked the other way, but let's come a little bit to this other side, where this man, and there's, of course, I do agree with you that there's no justification whatsoever for taking someone's life, but why then do people wake up and have these affairs? Why do you think society now, and what is now currently sadly obtainable, people do not move from one, relationship, as it were, to another by ending the previous one? People just expect that they can move, which is triggering for the person, because if you look at the report, the man did get this lady the apartment, and I think that could have been one of the triggers he had that made him drink and come back to, sadly commit this act that is not going to really be tolerated by law, as I was upset because I got the house, right? Why do you think right now people don't leave a relationship, leave a partner, leave a marriage before starting up something new?
Well, for me, the concept before every is for example I mean I mean that um, to make the thing the war, or we have won the war against corruption, we have won the war against insecurity, we have won all the wars. You know, sometime back in school, we had an SUG president who came on and said, instead of using aluta continua, we should say aluta finita, aluta has finished, and which is to the fact that there is still a whole lot of insecurity issues around the place. So there is no, there won't be an award for debating whether we have won that or not. No matter how good you take that debate, what stares the people in the face is that there is still insecurity in town. This is the capital territory. If the capital territory can be unsafe as this is where the seat of government is. This is where even the person that says he has won the fight, this is where the government house of which is a tenant is. So how have we won the war? We have not. Obviously, we have not. We have not. We still have a whole. That is, if we have started the war at all, we still have a lot to do.
Now, when you look at this report, the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, has been doing lots of projects as regards, with roads, with lots of projects. Abuja residents are pretty much very happy with this development. But then, do you think that the aspect of security in Abuja has been looked into? When you did mention that, being the capital, there should be some level of, safety around that place. But in recent times, the reports coming from Abuja, imagine 13 people robbing an entire compound. 13 armed robbers and succeeding.
I mean, it was even surprising that they see carry those type of robbery going to compound to rob people. I thought that has ended with the, long ago.
How, when you look at the security architecture, how is it possible that 13 people?
Or let's say the lack of security architecture. When we look at the lack of security architecture. Now, the thing is this, governance and good governance is not a monolithic activity.
Right.
It's encompassing. You cannot just choose one aspect of societal life or societal problem. No matter how well you answer one question, if you don't answer the other questions, you probably won't score high. It's like, writing an exam and you are given 5 questions to answer 5 or 5 questions to answer. No matter how well, I remember each question has been allotted specific marks. So no matter how well I answer a particular question, if the mark for a particular question is 15, no matter how well I answer it, I can't score more than 15. So if I dedicate the whole 2 hours in the exam hall answering one question and leave the other questions unanswered, I won't still score more than 15. So even if I answer that question beautifully well, I have my a foolscap sheet filled, maybe got extra paper, it was still one question, I won't still score more than the allotted mark.
Right.
For it, which means if in that exam of, say, an exam that should score 100 and I'm supposed to answer 4 questions, which means each question should get 25 marks, and I answered one question, that means I scored 25. That means I have 75 unanswered, and without going too far, you know what having 25 over 100 means? I can make all the argument, but I answered this question very, very well, but I still didn't follow the rule. So governance is not a monolithic activity. He may have been doing well in the area of roads, but there are other areas to governance. And you see, some of these things also may not be solely dependent on him. The way Nigeria is structured now, security architecture is not necessarily something that is in the purview of a minister. There is the Minister of Defense, there is the police, there is, so until, as we would say, all hands are on deck, we may not achieve El Dorado.
Thank you so much for your insight on that report. Chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, Taiwo Oyedele, says every Nigerian who earns an income, regardless of profession, has a duty to declare it for taxation. Speaking at an interactive session in Abuja, Oyedele clarified that the new tax reform signed into law by President Bola Tinubu on June 26 do not introduce fresh taxes but enforce existing obligations. He explained that all income earners, including informal workers such as bus conductors and sex workers, are legally required to self-declare their earnings. According to him, taxation is based on income, not morality or legality. In tax law, there's no distinction between moral or immoral income, Oyedele said. Even in the US, the IRS requires people to declare stolen money. The focus is on income earned, legal or not. The committee chairman further noted that undeclared income can still be traced through spending, saving, and investment, as all financial activities leave digital or third-party footprints. He assured Nigerians that the reformed system aims to make taxation fair, more transparent, and data-driven ahead of its full implementation in January 2026. I mean, so many people have had different and diverse opinions on this particular report. I saw some saying, so are they now encouraging people to do bad, or are they now encouraging prostitution? I want to hear your thoughts on this report.
Somebody said tax is the fine you pay for doing the right thing. And fine is the tax you pay for doing the wrong thing. Now, you see, the thing is, when you ask certain professions to pay tax, if they are qualified to be called a profession, you legitimize them. You see, taxation may not be about morality, but the state itself operates on certain moral principles.
Right.
Every state have a level of morality it opposes. I remember there's one of my lecturers, he wrote that beautiful book, The State and Morality. So the state, even if it may not be an all-out moral enforcer, but it cannot divorce itself completely from morality. You see, if you say, oh, conductors should pay tax, conductors are legitimate earners.
Okay.
They work hard for their money, no matter how you look at it, and they render services that are required. But you see, things like Agbero, they are a nuisance to society. When you begin to tax them, you're giving them legitimacy. You're saying they can operate. Of course, we know that our society has somewhat, every now and again you see government set up tax force. Most of those tax force take on the gaps of Agbero in their actions and in the way they are. So over the years, our government seems to have legitimized Agbero and Chogri. But to start taxing the real Agberos, those not under government employed, it raises more questions than answers. To start taxing prostitutes.
When prostitution is illegal?
Yes, let me be comfortable to say it is not illegal than to say it is legal. make what you like out of it. I think I'll comfortably say it is not illegal because it has not been outlawed. But I don't want to go full say it is legal. So
oftentimes we've seen police move around town, several places in Delta State, and arrested lots of prostitutes.
Yeah, not just there, even in Lagos, you see them. Right. Of course, those guys are alone to themselves. Whatever catches their fancy, they may wake up to them and say, oh, they are going to be arresting all young men with certain kind of hair. And they arrest them and do whatever they want to do and let them go. But the issue continues. But you see, the point is this. You don't because you want to raise revenue. Like I said, when you start taxing them, you have sort of given legitimacy to that as a recognized means of livelihood. Do people make money from it? Yes. Is that what the state should encourage? No. So I don't think the government should even think about it. If the thought of that lifestyle comes to government, it should be how to draw those people involved out of it, maybe not through legality, but through moral persuasion, because they leave a dent on their family, on society, and they do more harm than good. Right. You have a whole lot of diseases that is attributable to such practice. So I don't think government should go that way to tax them.
Thank you so much for your insight on that report. And this is where we wrap it up on this episode of Atlantic Society Watch. Thank you, Ikechi, for coming on the show and all the beautiful insights you're dropping. We're open for sponsorship of this program, jingles and advert placements, news and events coverage, personality, society and political interviews, product service promotion, and commercials. Watch us live on www.atlanticnetwork.tv. We're also on Avo TV channel 205, Limex TV platform, Ifosec platform, Apple TV, Niger TV, and Irko TV. Connect us on all our ATN socials to subscribe, like, and share. Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1. We're on X on Atlantic TV Net. Remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching. My name is Ataria Benjamin. Stay with us. Up next is International Tidbits.